Hello, everyone, and welcome to our very first episode of How to Cope with Emotions Without Turning to Food. I'm your host, Clazienna Wertz, and I'm thrilled to have you join us today. With me is Farron Knox, an exceptional fitness expert whose journey into bodybuilding began with a personal struggle, a story we're excited to explore. Welcome, Farron.
Thank you, Clazienna. It's great to be here. I'm really excited to have this conversation, especially because I think it's such a relatable issue for so many people.
Absolutely. Emotional eating is something most of us have experienced at some point. But before we dive into the mechanics of it, I'd love to hear more about your story. How did your journey lead you to become such a respected figure in the fitness world?
Well, it all started during a tough phase in my life. I was emotionally eating without realizing it, using food as a comfort. After a while, I noticed it was affecting my well-being and decided to make a change. Through a lot of research and trial and error, I found strength training and bodybuilding, which not only changed my body, but also my mindset. It was about finding healthier ways to cope with emotions.
That's so inspiring. I think that's a perfect segue into today's topic. Many people reach for comfort food when they're stressed or overwhelmed without even realizing it. What advice would you give to someone who finds themselves in that cycle?
The first step, I think, is awareness. Being able to identify when and why you're eating is crucial. I always tell people to start by simply noticing their habits. Keep a journal or use an app to log your eating patterns and emotions. It's about becoming mindful of what triggers you and understanding those emotional paths.
Yes, awareness is key. I remember when I started my journey, I had to ask myself a lot of uncomfortable questions about my relationship with food. Farron, what do you think are some common emotional triggers that result in eating?
Some of the most common ones are stress, loneliness, boredom, or even celebratory emotions like happiness. Sometimes these feelings can create a sudden craving for specific comfort foods. It's fascinating how our emotions can dictate our food choices if we're not mindful.
Right, and I think it's important to find coping mechanisms that don't involve food. What are some of the strategies that you find effective for managing these emotional triggers?
One effective method is finding a replacement activity. For example, if stress is your trigger, engaging in physical activities like going for a walk or hitting the gym can significantly help. It not only aids in reducing stress, but also gives you the added benefits of exercise. Meditation and mindfulness exercises can also be very effective in managing emotions.
That's excellent advice, Farron. I often suggest journaling as well. Writing down your feelings can sometimes provide the clarity to understand what you're truly dealing with. Plus, it gives you that pause to decide how to act wisely rather than react emotionally.
Exactly, Clazienna. And speaking of which, let's not forget the importance of reaching out for support. Sometimes just talking to a friend or a professional can make a world of difference. It's crucial to remember that you're not alone in this, and there are people ready to support you.
Definitely. Having a solid support system can be a game changer. It might be helpful to create a list of people you can call when you feel overwhelmed, people who understand your journey and can offer a listening ear or words of encouragement.
Yes, and along with that, another strategy involves questioning your hunger. Ask yourself, am I physically hungry, or am I just eating because I'm feeling a particular emotion? If the latter is true, that awareness can often be enough to steer you away from emotional eating.
That's such a useful tip. I think sometimes we underestimate our capability to self-analyze. It takes practice, but it's definitely achievable with consistency. I'd love to hear about a real-life example where you or someone you've worked with has successfully tackled emotional eating.
Certainly. There's one story that comes to mind about a client who was dealing with a lot of work-related stress. She used to turn to sugary snacks in the afternoon slump just to cope and power through. We worked together to identify her stress patterns and introduced mindfulness breaks instead. Within weeks, she reported feeling more in control and noticed a positive shift in her energy and mood.
Wow, that's amazing progress. It's wonderful to see how small changes can lead to profound impacts on our lives. Before we wrap up, Farron, do you have any final words for our listeners on how to start implementing these strategies today?
I'd say start small. Take one of the strategies we've talked about today and integrate it into your daily routine. Whether it's a brief journal entry, a 5-minute meditation, or a supportive phone call, start with what feels manageable. Over time, these small steps can build into a strong foundation against emotional eating.
Thank you so much, Farron, for joining us today and sharing your insights. I know our listeners will find them incredibly helpful. To everyone tuning in, remember this is just the beginning of our journey together. Let's continue exploring these topics and supporting each other. Until next time, take small, mindful steps towards a healthier you.